Billabongs are bodies of water left behind when a river alters course or after floodwaters recede. These are some of the last remaining in Melbourne and were once an important gathering place for the local Wurundjeri people and neighbouring tribes.
Slow, I've got to get through.
When Dr Joe Greet first started working here alongside the Wurundjeri Narrap team 5 years ago, things were looking grim.
And most of the sites were filled with weeds, there were few frogs, no water birds.
That's because the billabongs weren't getting the water they need to remain healthy.
The water coming down the Birrarung is only 2/3 of what it was pre-colonisation, so the Birrarung doesn't connect with its landscape, with its billabongs as frequently.
A collaborative effort involving the Narrap team and Melbourne Water has begun turning things around.
We are starting to introduce solutions, hopefully to increase the resilience of these sites.
Solutions such as creating a drainage swale to enable water to flow more freely between the river and billabong. Dr Greet and Narrap Rangers are leading a monitoring program to better understand how native plants and animals respond both to these managed flooding events as well as natural flooding from the Birrarung.
We're seeing a drowning out or suppression of the terrestrial weeds, a flourishing of the native wetland vegetation, and the increased condition of these beautiful old river red gums. Just previously, the water birds seem to know when these billabongs are full. We've seen eel numbers increase.
Who's getting the gloves on?
And we see through our eDNA sampling that those sites that are more frequently engaged with the river have a greater representation of native fish and frogs.
But Dr Greet says there's more to be done, not only to improve the health of our billabongs, but also to increase the role of traditional owners in water and land management. As a recipient of the 2024 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Scientist Award from the Australian Academy of Science, he hopes to continue efforts to do just that.
We want to get together and hold a series of workshops and understand better from a Wurundjeri perspective how we can better assess the health of these billabongs, the health of country, and better manage them into the future.
Indigenous-led research is also crucial in the field of cancer genomics, where fellow award recipient Dr Justine works. In Australia, cancer disproportionately affects Indigenous communities.
Aboriginal people are about 14% more likely to be diagnosed with cancer compared to non-Aboriginal people, and also about 20% less likely to survive for 5 years after diagnosis. So there's a massive gap there.
Indigenous Australians still face many barriers in accessing standard and precision cancer care, but Dr Clark hopes her research will help change that. At Telethon Kids Institute in Adelaide, she's begun work to build up a knowledge base of Indigenous Australian genomics to drive advancements in clinical care for Indigenous Australians living with cancer.
The exciting thing about it is that we can learn about our DNA and find new treatments for cancer that are targeted to specific genes. And we can also find better uses for our current treatments, better diagnostics, better screening, and that's what we call precision medicine.
Dr Clark plans to work with members of the South Australian Aboriginal community to better understand the cultural implications of this research and ensure it will ultimately benefit Indigenous Australians. She will also travel to New Zealand to meet with Māori colleagues with hopes of establishing collaborations there.
Doing it together is the best way forward to create a global agenda where we can improve cancer outcomes for every Indigenous person.
It's work that Dr Clark feels incredibly proud to be a part of.
I always think of my ancestors, and they were the first scientists in this country. And I think of the legacy of people that have come before me that have fought for a better future for our communities. And I'm just honoured that I get to do that now through my research.